Okay, so I'm gonna address this. And one, I think on some level I do believe this hot take, but at the same time I think I'm also kind of trying to start crap in a nice friendly way. Really, seriously, I think it's because he's him, James Gunn. He's doing it better. Here's what I mean. Zack Snyder had all the right story beats, but he hyper stylized it so much he began to become almost a parody of himself. The same guy who did 300 is not the same guy who made Batman v Superman or even Man of Steel. That's a lie. It's the same guy who made Man of Steel. It's not the same guy who made BVS. I think Man of Steel is actually a far superior film than BVS. But I feel like when you make the comparison, because I see the beats you're talking about, but that's because Zack Snyder was taking inspiration from the same material. If you read, there's several articles where James Gunn and Zack Snyder both were reading the same graphic novels. They were looking at the same books. Zack Snyder loved the whole Batman Returns vibe when it came to BVS, and I feel like there's a world in which you sit here and go, James Gunn is doing the same story beats, sure, but that's because they're story beats and they come from the same source material. But I also feel like he's showing, it's funny, I feel like he's doing Grounded and Real better. You know, everybody was like, it's gritty, it's dark, that's why I made it so blah, blah, blah about Zack Snyder. And the truth is, I feel like they never felt realistic. They felt like what he described, like these gods and blah, blah, blah. And maybe that's what they should be. But I feel like when it comes to James Gunn, he's approaching this material more like, I'm going to say something that's going to wrap me in the mouth, more like Marvel did, in terms of, imagine what real life looks like if suddenly people with superpowers and costumes show up. So we're not hyper stylizing it as much as we're just stylizing it and telling the stories. And I feel like that's why it feels like, why is it this and this? And why is it? It's basically just that. It's not. He's doing this. He's doing comic book reality better than I believe Snyder did. That's just my take.